I'm haunted by her smile. The memory of it, anyway. It was a summer night, one of those endless twilight evenings that seemed to stretch on forever with their light and warmth. I'd found her at our usual spot, sitting on the edge of the weathered wooden dock by the lake. She'd been waiting for me, her legs dangling in the water, and when I came closer, she leaned back against the worn wood, tilting her head up to meet my eyes. That smile was like a beacon, lighting up her face and somehow making the fading light seem brighter. It was one of those smiles that reached all the way to her eyes, crinkling them at the corners and deepening the dimples in her cheeks. It was a smile that could chase away any shadow, a smile that had the power to make the world a better place just by existing. When I saw that smile, my heart did a little flip, and it wasn't the first time it had done that, nor would it be the last. You see, I loved her, or I thought I did. I loved the way her hair was always a mess, framing a face that was both delicate and strong. With eyes that held the vastness of the sky and a spirit that was as wild and free as the wind, we were two souls who found solace in each other's company, two puzzle pieces that fit together perfectly, or so I thought. But now, months after that last summer evening, I find myself haunted not by her absence, but by the ghost of her smile, a haunting melody that echoes in the chambers of my heart. Where did it go? Why did it vanish along with her? These questions swirl in my mind, refusing to be silenced. It was a crisp autumn morning when she told me she was leaving. The vibrant hues of fall had painted the landscape in shades of crimson and gold, but the beauty around us was lost on me. All I could see was the sadness etched on her face, the pain in her eyes. It was like a punch to the gut, stealing the breath from my lungs and leaving me weak and trembling. But then she offered me a sad smile, the kind that hurt more than tears ever could, and said, "It's for the best." And with that, she turned and walked away, leaving me in a pool of confusion and despair. The weeks following her departure were a blur. I went through the motions of my life, but I wasn't really there. The world seemed muted, the laughter of others a painful reminder of the joy I'd lost. I wandered aimlessly, searching for her in the rustling leaves and the glistening streams, calling out her name to the indifferent wind. My heart ached with a deep, hollow pain that threatened to consume me. It was a torture I hadn't known could exist. A torment that made every sunrise feel like a cruel joke and every sunset a lament. One evening I found myself drawn back to the lake, to our spot, hoping against hope that I might find her there. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the water, and I sat on the dock, letting the cool breeze wash over me. As the sky blazed with hues of orange and purple, I closed my eyes, trying to shut out the memories, but they were relentless, crashing over me like waves on a stormy sea. And then I heard it, a soft sob that broke the silence of the evening. I opened my eyes and saw the shimmering reflection of the setting sun in the water, distorted and fragmented, mimicking my shattered heart. I reached out to touch it, wanting to make it whole again, but my fingers grasped only empty air. In that moment, I understood that some things once broken could never be mended, some loves once lost could never be reclaimed. And so I sat there, enveloped by the gathering darkness, haunted by the echo of her laughter, the lingering scent of her presence, the ghostly imprint of her body where she used to sit beside me. I stayed long after the sun had dipped below the horizon, long after the stars had replaced the fading light, until the moon became my only companion. The silence of the night was a heavy shroud, stifling my cries, choking my sorrow. The solitude was a physical presence, a cold, hard weight pressing down on me, stealing my breath, reminding me of the one who was no longer here to share it. As the night deepened, the chill of the evening seeped into my bones, mirroring the icy grip of despair that tightened around my heart. "Oh, da!" The wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it the scent of distant rain and the memory of her touch. Each gust was a phantom caress, teasing my skin, awakening sensations that only heightened my longing. I huddled deeper into myself, seeking solace in the meager shelter of the dock, my thin jacket a feeble defense against the encroaching cold. The damp wood seeped into my clothes, chilling me to the core, but it didn't matter. The cold was a welcome distraction from the burning ache in my chest, a dulling pain that threatened to obliterate me. I wanted to scream, to let out a primal cry that would shatter the silence of the night, but no sound escaped my lips. My throat was hoarse from unshed tears, my voice stolen by grief. So I sat there trapped in a prison of my own despair, shivering not only from the cold, but from the haunting realization that some goodbyes are more final than we want them to be, some absences more permanent than we can bear. And then, as if in answer to my silent anguish, a single tear escaped my eye, tracing a path down my frozen cheeks. It was a tiny drop, yet it felt like a tidal wave, unleashing a torrent of emotions that had been dammed up within me. More tears followed, hot and stinging, washing away the last vestiges of my composure. I cried out, not a scream, but a raw, gut-trenching cry of sorrow. And in that moment, I felt a strange sense of release, a momentary solace in the midst of my torment. It was as though the tears themselves were a balm, soothing the raw wounds of my soul, if only for a little while. For what felt like hours, I wept, surrendering to the overwhelming tide of grief that threatened to engulf me. My shoulders shook with sobs, my chest heaved with each breath, and my entire being trembled with the force of my anguish. But as abruptly as it began, the torrent of tears subsided, leaving me drained, empty, my body aching, my spirit broken. Gazing up at the indifferent stars, I felt utterly desolate, realizing that in the vast expanse of the universe, my pain was a tiny, insignificant speck, a flicker of light destined to be extinguished by the cold, hard truth of her absence. And so I stayed there under the cold, uncaring gaze of the stars, surrounded by the echoes of my own. Despair haunted by the ghost of her smile, a specter that would forever linger in the chambers of my broken heart. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and still the haunting melody of her smile echoed in my ears. It was a constant ache, a dull throb that intensified into a sharp, stabbing pain whenever I least expected it. I tried to fill the void she'd left behind with work, with friends, with fleeting romances that offered only a temporary distraction, but nothing worked. Her absence was a gaping hole in my existence, a wound that refused to heal, a love song without its melody. Then one day I decided to do something crazy. I bought a one-way ticket to a faraway city, packed my bags, and left everything I knew behind. I needed a change, a complete upheaval of my life to match the turmoil in my heart. Maybe if I could surround myself with new sights, new sounds, new experiences, the haunting melody would fade into the background, becoming a distant echo instead of a tormenting refrain. I've been in this new city for a few months now. It's a beautiful place, full of promise and possibility. And yet, despite the beauty that surrounds me, the haunting melody persists. It follows me like a shadow, reminding me of the one who is not here. I find myself drawn to the windows, watching the world go by, searching for her in the faces of strangers. Sometimes I see a flash of her smile in a shop window reflecting the light, and my heart breaks all over again. Will this haunting melody ever fade? Will I ever find peace? Or am I doomed to wander through life, forever haunted by the ghost of her smile? Only time will tell.